On iBrand News Now, United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken has described the security challenges facing Nigeria as extraordinary. A Southern African leaders meeting scheduled for Thursday to address the Islamic State-linked insurgency in Mozambique has been postponed. U.S. President Joe Biden on Wednesday urged Congress to pass a police reform bill in the name of George Floyd. Some government agencies on Wednesday opted out of funding from the federal budget. Many thanks for joining us on iBrand News Now. Here's some stories we're reporting at this hour. I am Margaret Opera. The U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has described the security challenges facing Nigeria as extraordinary. He said this during a virtual roundtable with Kenyan and Nigerian journalists. Blinken, who was responding to a question on how the U.S. could assist Nigeria to tackle the security challenges posed by Boko Haram bandits and IPOB, he said it's fair to say that the challenges that Nigerians face when it comes to security are quite extraordinary, and you referenced them, whether it's terrorism, whether it's banditry and criminality, whether it's piracy. All of these are real challenges. Blinken also advised countries battling security challenges to deal with the root causes of insecurity in their region. And also, former President Olusegun Obasanjo is confident that Nigeria would overcome its security challenges and all the problems it is grappling with. He said although the call for the nation's breakup may be loud, it would never be heard and would be a thing of the past. The former president made the remarks on Wednesday at an event in Ogun State where Governor Dapo Abiodun and his Oyo State counterpart Seyi Makinde also called for peace, unity and an end to violence in the country. Speaking in Yoruba language, the elder statesman gave a parable that implied that while the present situation might be tough, the country would surely overcome. The event was the 108th annual convention of Nigerian Baptist Convention, NBC, held at the Church International Conference Center along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. It was also used to conduct a valedictory and commendation service for Reverend Samson Ayokunle, the retired president of the church and the president of Christians Association of Nigeria. Former Governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, has advised Nigerians, irrespective of party affiliations, to join hands in tackling the challenges facing the country. Obi, who ran for vice president in 2019 general elections, listed the challenges as insecurity, poverty, and unemployment. And now, according to him, Nigeria is fast becoming a failed state, adding that the downward spiral should not be allowed to continue. Obi said these amid the attacks on police personnel and formations in the southeast region where he hails from. The Zamfara state government has asked residents to defend themselves against bandits' attack but ensure they do not break the law. A statement signed by the State Commissioner for Information, Ibrahim Magaji Dosara, on Wednesday said people must not take laws into their hands but should take due legal process in protecting their respective communities when attacked by any group of hoodlums. Meanwhile, the statement announced that police have apprehended 35 criminals, comprising mostly kidnappers, informants, and those aiding and abetting banditry in the state. The criminals have since been interrogated and have confessed to their various crimes and have already been transferred to Abuja for further action before prosecution. The government therefore seriously warned bandits to renounce the criminality and embrace the state government dialogue and peace initiatives to become good citizens. Now, moving on, the newly elected chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Southwest Zone, Ambassador Taofeek Arakpaja, has been officially inaugurated by Oyo State Governor and leader of the party in the region, Engineer Seyi Makinde. Arakpaja declared that his mission is to ensure that the PDP wins all 6 states of the Southwest in coming elections. He made the declaration after he was inaugurated alongside other elected executive committee members of the PDP Southwest Zone.
For us in the Southwest, it is time to ensure that we take our rightful position. Yes, we still have quite a bit to chew through, but I don't have any doubt that with the quality of people that we have in this Zona ESCO and the quality of representation that we will be having at the National Executive Committee of our party, the Southwest has found its voice.
Reconcile with them and be reaching out to them. We have started reaching out to them. As far as we are concerned, What happens before the election, during the election, is gone. What we want now is how to reunite our people, unify our people, so that we can become one. If you look at it in the Southwest, if PDP come together, APC can never defeat us.
If you look at the Congress, you find out that it was peaceful. After the election, it was peaceful. And let me tell everybody as we're speaking that PDP is going to be a new party of love. Because right now, we're going to have reconciliation in every single area that is part of Lagos or part of Nigeria. We're going to be one party.
And now the Chairman, Senate Public Accounts Committee on Wednesday gave the Ministry of Finance, Office of the Accountant General of the Federation and Office of the National Security Advisor till Tuesday next week to explain an alleged secret withdrawal of 7.5 billion naira from the 2% National Automotive Council Design and Development Council levy account. The account is domiciled with the Central Bank of Nigeria. The committee had 2 weeks ago, while scrutinizing the 2015 Auditor General for the Federation's report, summoned the affected agencies to appear before it. 3 representatives of the affected agencies were not present at the scheduled meeting on Wednesday. Now, the committee, chaired by Senator Matthew Ugogide, said that all parties involved in the withdrawal of the money must be in attendance next week, Tuesday. Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has renewed its commitment to improve on the inclusion of persons with disabilities in political participation in coming elections. The Director General of the Electoral Institute, Syed Idris, said that this during a one-day sensitization workshop for officers on disability inclusion. He says the Commission will work with relevant stakeholders towards training of its personnel on ways to implement the Guide for an Inclusive Electoral Process.
I will not say too much about what the Commission is doing. You all know it, you are part of it, we have been working with you very closely. But suffice it to say that this is another level of all the attempt of the Commission to improve inclusiveness in the electoral process. Now what we did is we developed a guide, inclusivity guide in connection with Albino Foundation. So it's not even about doing the guide itself, but we have also put into motion specific processes of developing modules to train people on how to do them. Now this is just a sensitization workshop, but we are also going to come to the real process of training people. You can't train people without developing the model.
This is just a sensitization, and we're happy that INEC is taking this very serious. The people you see here today are directors and of the directorates, all the directorates in INEC, and we will make sure that what we're doing here today will come into reality. But we also need you, media, to keep drumming this crusade so that at the end of the day, we will have proper inclusion in the electoral process.
As it is, we have seen that persons with disabilities have been crowded out of the political space. Is it that they're not citizens enough to participate? No, that's not the issue. Again, amongst us, we have realized that there are certain barriers that are actually stopping them from participating. And it could have been any forms of those barriers, it could be institutional or whatever. So we are here today to address those barriers so that we can open up the space for persons with disability to effectively participate in the political space, as it were.
And now the Inclusive Friends Association, IFA, has asked the National Assembly and Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to take urgent measures towards addressing the issues that restrict persons with disabilities from voting during elections. Grace Jemi, the Executive Director of IFA, during the stakeholders meeting in Abuja, said the promise of the law protecting persons with disabilities and its implementation still remains a challenge in realizing full political participation for disabled persons.
To ensure that training for election officials, election administrators, security, and political parties include information and education about the rights and needs of persons with disabilities. The NOA and the INEC Voter Education and Publicity Department should collaborate with other media providers to increase the accessibility of their output. While media output can be made more accessible for PWDs through subtitle, sign language interpretation, and audio descriptions.
We've been discussing with INEC and the National Assembly on how best to amend our electoral legal framework and election policies to take care of the needs of people living with disabilities in electoral process. There is also need for INEC to consult with PWDs in the design and implementation of voter education and electoral procedure, policy making, and training, which is very important. Our political parties must be dynamic and include people living with disabilities in every activity and at every step.
We have also articulated a framework for training and engaging, with persons with disabilities. And God willing, tomorrow we are going to, have a workshop in which we will expose our staff to the 4-part disability inclusion guide, which we have articulated in concert with the Albino Foundation and other development partners like.
Away from that, the Independent National Electoral Commission in Rivers State says it will commence expansion of polling units for eligible voters. The Resident Electoral Commission in Rivers State, Obo Efang, in a media briefing at the State Secretariat in Port Harcourt, said the exercise of creating polling units was carried out 25 years ago. He noted that INEC currently have 4,442 but intend to convert to 24,024 voting points in the state to full-fledged polling units.
The Independent National Electoral Commission has commenced activities that would lead to the decongestion of our polling units and ultimately increase the number of polling units in the country. Please recall that during the last general election, all polling units in Nigeria that had more than 750 registered voters were qualified for the establishment of a voting point. INEC looks to converting 2,424 voting points in Rivers State to fully fledged polling units. When these new proposed polling units are verified and ratified by the Commission, the total number of polling units in Rivers State will be 6,866. Those numbers, we believe, would be adequate to serve the current registered voters of 3,215,273. The siting of polling units, INEC is bound by certain guidelines set out by the Commission. These include that the polling units shall be in public places, preferably centrally located and accessible. They shall be in non-sectarian locations such as schools, town or community halls, health centers, court premises, and public recreational centers. They shall also be, as much as possible, located in spacious facilities to adequately seat election officials, political party agents, election observers, and voters if necessary.
In other stories, workers of the Nigerian Eagle Floor Company on Wednesday staged a protest over the non-payment of $7,500 as salary. The workers were started by our correspondent protesting at the entrance of the company in Ibadan as all efforts to meet with the organization's authorities proved abortive. One of the workers, Ademola Fadiro, said they are ready to fight for their rights despite threats of losing their jobs.
We are here, we are protesting, making a peaceful protest regarding salary increment. We've written letter times without number to the management to do something about our salary. In this modern Nigerian, it's so unacceptable. When you earn you work tirelessly, you work around the whole month, and you are being given 7,500 naira basic salary. It's terrible. We've talked about it times without number. We wrote letters, but they are not taking it serious. Then we've now decided to come together to engage ourselves in this peaceful protest. And this is the second day of the protest. This is the second day. They've not been communicating well with us. Even the Nigerian Labour Congress came here yesterday. They were not given audience to enter the company. They said they are not the one who employ us. We should talk to our third-party management.
We'll take a breather there. Africa News is next. Now the African news. A Southern African leaders meeting that was scheduled for Thursday to address the Islamic State-linked insurgency in Mozambique has been postponed, Botswana's president said on Wednesday. The meeting was to receive a report from a team sent to Mozambique to assess the security situation and identify ways to support the country after ISIS-linked insurgents attacked the coastal town of Palma, displacing tens of thousands of people and stalling a $60 billion natural gas project. The meeting was put off due to the unavailability of the Botswana and South African president, Masisi's office said. Botswana is the current chair of the SADC division, which is tasked with promoting peace and security in the region. Meanwhile, Ghana's military has launched a nationwide operation to clear illegal miners out of its water borders. The West African country lands minister said on Wednesday. 200 soldiers were deployed on Wednesday morning to lakes, rivers and waterways in the country's central and western region to remove all persons and logistics involved in mining, a statement said. Pollution from mining has contaminated water sources across the country with mercury and heavy metals, raising the cost of water treatment and limiting access to drinking water, according to Ghana's Water Utility Agency. Now, Ghana is one of Africa's largest gold producers, with gold products accounting for just under half of its export revenues. Several of the world's top mining firms, including Newmont, Kinross, and Anglo Gold Ashanti, operate gold mines there. Meanwhile, the foreign scene, U.S. President Joe Biden on Wednesday urged Congress to pass a police reform bill in the name of George Floyd, a black man killed under the knee of a white police officer by anniversary of his death on May 25th. Biden and Democrats told a joint session of Congress the reform was broadly supported by the American people and that he knew Republicans were engaged in productive discussion with Democrats. We need to work together to find a consensus, Biden said. Let's get it done next month by the first anniversary of George Floyd's death. The Democratic president drew a bipartisan standing ovation where he praised the police, saying most men and women in uniform their badge and serve their communities honorably. But he said Congress needs to restore trust in law enforcement and racism in the criminal justice system and give meaning to the words of Floyd's daughter, who Biden told him he'd change the world. Still on the foreign scene, Ireland will press ahead with plans to reopen all retail stores, personnel services and non-residential construction in May, with hotels, restaurants and bars to follow sooner than expected in early June, Foreign Minister Simon Coveney said on Thursday. Now, the government committed a month ago to reopening all shops for the first time this year in May and hotels in June if it could avoid a fourth wave of COVID-19 disease and speed up its vaccine program, criteria that it has met. Coveney said the plan to be signed off by ministers later on Thursday would permit hotels to open their doors again on June 2nd, with restaurants and pubs not mentioned a month ago allowed to serve guests outdoor from June 7th. He added people will also be able to travel anywhere in the world for the first time since late December next month, he added. Up next is sports with Judechi.
Welcome to the Sports Update. I am Judechi Chidi. Cyril Olisema's last-minute goal on Wednesday night gave Enyimba International an all-important 1-0 victory over South Africa's Orlando Pirates and sealed progress to the knockout stages of the 2020-2021 CAF Confederations Cup. Olisema's impact following a late Anayo Iwala's assist settled the keenly contested encounter at the Enyimba International Stadium, which the People's Elephant had to win to make certain they did not crash out from a group that had 4 sides having a chance to progress to the next round should they win their final games. Ultimately, it was Algeria's ES Setif and Libya's Al Ali Benghazi who were the 2 teams from Group A to bow out of the competition, despite a 1-0 ES Setif victory in the other final Group A game. For Nigeria's representatives, Enyimba, finishing as group winners while Box slipped into second spot on the head-to-head rule, they now both await Friday's quarterfinals draw. And in rugby, Burkina Faso has beaten Nigeria to the hosting rights of the Rugby Africa Cup elimination and repechage qualifiers for the 2023 Rugby World Cup qualifiers, which is slated to hold from June 5th to June the 13th. Rugby Africa in its latest calendar sent to the Nigeria Rugby Football Federation (NRFF), the country's men's senior team Black Stallions will return to the international scene in Ouagadougou in June after missing competitive action due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which affected major sporting activities globally in 2020. Nigeria will compete with Burkina Faso, Burundi, and Cameroon in a round-robin format in the fight for a place at the second phase of the Rugby Africa Pool D in July. France will host the Rugby World Cup in 2023. And that's all for now on the sports update. Back to you, Margaret.
Many thanks to Dechi. And now business news. Some government agencies on Wednesday opted out of funding from the federal budget and refunded millions of revenues due to the consolidated revenue of the Federation. They took the decision on the ongoing investigation by a Senate committee finances of remittances of internally generated revenues by ministries, departments and agencies of government. The panel is probing the MDA's compliance of the payment of 1% stamp duties of all federal contracts. Now the affected agencies told the Senator Solomon Adiola-led Finance Committee that he had agreed to willingly opt out of federal budget. Specifically, the heads of National Agency for Food and Drug Administration, Nigerian Communications Satellite Limited, and Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, to varying degrees informed that the agencies should be taken out of the federal budget. Still in business, the Central Bank of Nigeria has queried the board of the First Bank of Nigeria PLC for Reverend Dr. Adesola Adeduntan, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, without regulatory approval. The query is contained in a letter dated April 28, 2021, signed by the CBN Director, Banking Supervisor Mr. Haruna Mustafa, and obtained by the News Agency of Nigeria. The letter was addressed to the bank's chairman, Mrs. Ibuku Awoshika. Mustafa said that the action was taken without due consultations with the regulatory authorities, especially given the systemic importance of this commercial bank. He noted that the tenure of Adetutan is yet to expire. Mustafa noted that the removal of a certain MD and CEO of a systematically important bank was not good. First Bank on Wednesday announced the appointment of Benga Shobo as a new Managing Director and Chief Executive Director. Awoshika said the appointment was subject to all regulatory approvals. And meanwhile, the World Bank on Wednesday said Nigeria and 6 other countries were responsible for 2/3 of global gas flaring. It said this in a statement titled, 7 countries account for 2/3 of global gas flaring. The World Bank stated gas flaring satellite data from 2020 reveals that Russia, Iran, Iraq, and United States, Algeria, Venezuela, and Nigeria remain the top 7 gas flaring countries for 9 years running, since the first satellite was launched in 2012. These 7 countries produce 40% of the world's oil each year, but account for roughly 2/3, that's 65% of global gas flaring. The director for the Energy and Extractive Global Practice at the World Bank, Demetros, said, now in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic, oil-dependent developing countries are feeling the pinch with constrained revenues and budget. Now Royal Dutch Shell's Audi SA profit leapt to $3.23 billion in the first 3 months of the year, and the energy comprise raised its dividend as planned, but warned that the outlook remained uncertain due to the coronavirus pandemic. Shell's adjusted earnings were above an average analyst forecast of $3.125 billion and also ahead of earnings of $2.9 billion last year, boosted by asset sales as well as higher oil and liquefied natural gas (LNG) prices, it said on Thursday. Now, sales of oil and gas assets in countries including Nigeria, Canada, and Egypt added $1.4 billion to first quarter profits. On this note, we're going to wrap on News Now. Please follow us on all our social media platforms, subscribe to YouTube channel, like, drop a comment for us on the comment section. My name is Margaret Opara.